Hey, Gary, what
Yes,
do you
sir.
do to improve your jiu-jitsu off the mat?
I like to review. And the way I do that is if I go to a seminar, usually 50% of it falls out of my head and I can't remember anything. So I like to go back and review those seminars at a later date.
Yeah, I wish there was a easy way to retain some of that information, whether we are in a class or a seminar, particularly seminar when they are longer and more complex. There's more layers as the instructors are showing techniques. I wish there was a way so we can go back and review all the details. Is there?
Yeah, I think there is. And the way I do it is RŌL TV. Tons of stuff to review, and it's really a great platform for anything you need.
We've built this platform for over 2 years now, over 500 videos, anywhere between techniques, expert lessons, and we have huge guests like Christian Woodman C and Sophia McDormand and many others. And then also all the live events recorded at the Academy are fully available on RŌL TV. So if you're looking to improve your jiu-jitsu or you're looking to review things from the class or seminar, RŌL TV is a perfect platform for you to gain access to. Go to rollacademy.tv, create your account, gain the access, and continue your jiu-jitsu journey.
Yeah, check it out. It works wonders. Gustavo Gasperin has carved out a very unique niche in the world of BJJ. Unlike many practitioners at his level, Gustavo doesn't own his own academy. Instead, he teaches almost exclusively private lessons and has an extremely successful and long running online BJJ platform. On this episode of RŌL Radio, Gustavo shares his early days of training and how his anxiety and the pressure to compete almost forced him to quit. He also discusses his philosophy on various training methods and what makes a good BJJ instructor both on the mats and online. Here's RŌL Radio with BJJ Black Belt under Fabrico Werdum and the creator of MMA LEECH, Gustavo Gasperin.
Welcome to RŌL Radio.
And we are live. Gary, how are
Yes,
you
sir.
doing today?
I'm a little under the weather, but we're going to power through. We're going to have a good conversation today. So I think we should get to it.
Yeah, no, but listen, before we start, let's briefly talk about our sponsor, Fuji Sports. They've been very generous in giving away gi to one of our listeners. So make sure you guys tune into, first of all, tune into the episodes, but two, go to our site, therolradio.com. There's a quick survey that you can take, drop your email address, and we'll be happy to draw the winner end of each month. One of the winners was drawn just a couple weeks ago. And I mean, who doesn't want a free gi? Gary, how many
Yeah.
gis do you have, by the way?
I have quite a few, and now I've got a
Not
few
enough.
Fuji ones as well. No, you never have enough. Yeah, it's therolradio.com/belt. Take the survey, and you are automatically enrolled. And then just keep listening. One every month, and we say the name at the end of the episode. You got 72 hours to get back in touch with us, and you got a free gi. So there we go.
Simple as that. In the meanwhile, we have Professor Gustavo in the house. Gustavo, how are you?
Hi,
Professor.
guys. I'm here. Thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here on the podcast.
I hear there's a little cloudy by you. That is a shame because we have like 4 feet of snow here in Chicago right now.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame here in Los Angeles we don't get this cloudy very often. So
Oh, we'll live through you today.
we are expecting sunny days even in the winter.
Keep rubbing it in. Keep rubbing it in. Listen, thanks for swinging by. Thanks for stopping by the show. It's always interesting to have these conversations with individuals such as yourself, because I personally remember, I've been training for 20 years, and I remember coming across your name and your website long time ago. Matter of fact, I like to think about that you're one of the first group of guys who really start putting videos in a kind of a logical format out on the online for everybody to start benefiting from it. So I'm glad you're here because I'm going to pick your brain on some of those things. But
That's awesome. That's gonna be great. Yeah, it's been a while. I'm not sure now, but I think I started my online stuff, MMA LEECH, maybe end of 2012. That's probably the date. So yeah, it's been a while.
That's been a long time. 10 years. I mean,
Basically 10 years. Yes.
That's been a long time.
Not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, a lot of people have come and gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
That's true.
before we get to that, let's start from the beginning. We kind of like to, start in the very beginning, how in the world all of this started. And the more we talk to people, I'm kind of learning that everybody has their own story. That's one. But two, what seems to be obvious for, all these black belts and well-accomplished instructors, in jiu-jitsu community, most of them didn't start it easily. Like the road is not so smooth, and there are some obstacles that we always face. How did this all started for you?
Yeah, for me it was, like you said, it's different for everybody. For me, I wasn't really, it happened after the first UFC. First UFC, I think it was end of 1993.
Mm-hmm.
And in my town, it's called Curitiba. Over there was no jiu-jitsu prior to UFC. So jiu-jitsu got to my town right after the first UFC, probably in 94. And then it was a huge hit, right? Everybody wanted to train, but there wasn't many. We had only 3 gyms around. 3 black belts from Carson Gracie team came to my town, and then they opened their gyms, across the town. And at that moment, I really wanted to start training because, I was seeing on TV. I was like, what is this? I never heard about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and being from, developing my country, was like, oh my God, how is this even possible? I had never heard about this before. And I was probably 21, or when I first heard 93, so I was basically 19 years old. I never heard about that before. And then, some of my friends started training. And at the time, my primary sport was surfing. So I was surfing a lot. And I basically I want to do this thing. Seems like everybody's doing, and all my friends are doing. And I want to learn also how to defend myself. But mostly in the beginning was just to keep me in shape for the surfing sessions, because our town is basically hour and a half from the beach driving. So I wouldn't go every day to the beach. I would go only the weekends. So on the weekdays, I would stay in town and doing other type of sports. But then I decided, well, let's do jiu-jitsu because it's going to be great. I'm going to keep in shape during the week. I'm going to learn self-defense. I'm going to hang out with my friends. And it was like, everybody wants to be a badass, right? I wanted to be a badass too. Let's do this thing, get more girls, whatever it was, right? Being the tribe, the cool guys. So I started like that. In the beginning, I didn't really like much. I was not really impressed, like, oh my God, like, I'm getting smashed here. I'm not learning much, I'm just getting destroyed. And then eventually, I started liking a little more when I started, getting a little better. But that's basically how I started, just as a workout to stay in shape. But then soon I started realizing that, well, I can kind of be good at this stuff because I just started. I've been training for a month, for 2, and I'm doing better than a lot of guys here that have been training longer. And then my instructor started to, push a little more. He would call my home when I was not going to the gym. He would talk to my mom, hey, what's happening? Send him to the gym. And then I started going more and more and more, and really start seeing the results. I guess he saw something in me that I had some potential, and he stayed on me, and then I take a little, but that's how I started. It was, as everybody, I guess, tough, tough in the beginning, especially back then. The training was very, very hard, right?
Hard,
there was
especially
the idea,
especially with Carson Gracie team, right? I mean,
Carson Gray's team. It was all about competition, vale tudo, tournaments. There was not much training for hobby, right? If you go to the gym, you gotta compete. You gotta represent the team somehow. And the training was basically for athletes. right? There was no hobbyists. So it was very hard in the beginning, but I was in good shape because I was surfing. So most people that were not in good shape at that time, they would quit like in the first 2 weeks because they just couldn't take it. It was too hard. You had to be kind of an athlete already to join the gym, But yeah, now things are a little different.
Tell us how typical classes or how typical training sessions looked like back then, because here's a few interesting things that I'm noticing. You starting as 19, right? So that's a little bit later in the life, right? You're an athlete, you do surfing, you physically fit. But then we all know that being physically fit and then doing jiu-jitsu are not always the same, right? So obviously you have probably some kind of perception about, hey, I'm in shape, I can handle this, and you stepping into a Shark Tank essentially. I mean, this is a fight club, in certain aspects. What's your perception? How are you feeling being in those sessions?
Yeah, it was very hard. I heard about jiu-jitsu first as 19 years old, but I started probably as 21 years old. But it was very hard because everybody everybody was in good shape and everybody was training for longer than me. So I was just getting crushed in the beginning. But and the training sessions, I would say, for still kind of in some gyms is still the same. Even here in the US, is the general warm up, the techniques, and then we brawl, right? But everything 100%, right? You would die already in the warm up, right? Like 100 push-ups plus combinations of abs of like thousands of abs. So you would really leave the class completely exhausted, right? So it was very, very like tough. I don't think I was ready when I started. I don't think I was ready for that. I didn't think it was going to be that hard. So much that a little before then, I was good to be promoted to blue belt. My instructor came to me and said, "Hey, we are gonna have a promotion like 2 months from now. You're gonna get your blue belt. No, just keep coming and training." And I quit. I quit before the promotion because I knew that it was only gonna get worse. When I got my blue belt, I knew that I would have a bigger target on my back. I would have to start over basically. And I just didn't. It was already tough enough for me. Like, man, I just want to break.
Do you think that's why most blue belts quit even to this day?
I think so. I think so. And not only that, but maybe I would say some of them, they think that when they get to blue belt level, they kind of know how to handle themselves in a situation, a self-defense situation. So they think they had learned enough. Just like they go for other martial arts too, like Muay Thai. They train for 6 months, and I know how to throw a punch and kick. Now Jiu-Jitsu, I know how to control on the bottom, so or on the ground, and I'm good enough, I guess, for some people, right? But for sure, other people like me, like it's just the pressure. Like, man, I'm already kind of, I climbed all the way up to almost, to be a good white belt. Now I'm transitioning to blue belt. I'm gonna have to start over. It's gonna be kind of harder now. And now if I'm gonna compete, I'm gonna get blue belts that have been blue belts for 4 years. So I just wanted, oh man, I told my instructor, I'm gonna take a break. I went to the beach. We had a house there. I spent 6 months there just surfing. I got some money from the job that I had. I quit jiu-jitsu. I just surfed, but then when I came back to town, I realized that I missed. So I missed the challenge. I missed the guys, and then I started over. When I came back, actually, that first instructor had moved out, so I started with a different instructor, but from the same lineage there, and then I got my blue belt right away, basically. But it was like I wasn't ready. I think it was too shocking for me, But then after I accepted that it was going to be that way, then I had no problems anymore.
So
And then eventually over the years, it's just jiu-jitsu just kind of the training is slowed down a little, because they realized that was too brutal.
What do you think was so shocking for you? Because I mean, they let you know 2 months ahead. You know you're gonna get it, right? You take a break for 6 months, so that at this point is a 7 months of kind of mental preparation, sleeping on it, and you come back and you say, I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, because it was not only the training, because the training, of course, it was a big part, but it's the competitions too. Because I was competing, I was basically being forced to compete because I didn't want to compete. I didn't like it, right? But if you don't compete, if you didn't compete at that time, you were just like being considered a pussy, like you don't belong to the gym, go train somewhere else. So I had to compete if I wanted to keep training there. But I didn't enjoy it at all. So I knew if I was going to get promoted to blue belt, I would have to compete again. But now for sure I'm going to lose, because those guys are much better than me. They have been blue belts for 4 years. So all that situation, like the thinking, the mind playing games there, I was like, man, why should I do this? And I don't want to get killed again, But then I realized, well, I think that's how it is. That's how life goes. It's not always easy, right? You gotta go through some stuff. And then I accepted that, went back to the training and, still competing and all that stuff. But I really never enjoyed competing until brown belt. Brown belt then, because I was never really comfortable competing. Like I was very anxious before the matches and the days before, the training before.
Did you compete in surfing, or was it just a
no,
lifestyle
just jiu-jitsu?
Just jiu-jitsu.
Just jiu-jitsu. I had other type of competition, swimming, other sports, soccer, but not
was it
surfing.
Just as bad? Was the anxiety?
No. It wasn't as bad. I think it was I think because of group, a sport that you play with, more people, kind of you divide the responsibility a little bit.
Yeah.
On jiu-jitsu is all on you, so if I fail, I didn't want to know that I didn't want to face that I wasn't that good, if I lost. So that was the problem. One of the problems. I didn't want to compete because of that, right? Or the pressure of the instructor, the pressure of my family and friends. Everybody see me losing when I lost. I won a bunch too, but it was just my mental state wasn't good for competition in jiu-jitsu at that time. And took a while until I got used to, competing more and more and more. Eventually, I felt comfortable. I never pulled guard in competition until I was a black belt. The first time I pulled guard was at the black belt level, and I was playing guard at the gym the whole time. But I was just not confident. Like, no, I don't want to do this. I want to stay on top and smash, but just a little bit of confidence or lack of confidence. And I've competed a lot, but I don't like to have to keep proving myself over and over,
Well, let me ask you this. Why didn't you just quit? Because and this is why I'm asking this, because a lot of people would do just that. They say, I don't like competition. I don't like to be pushed into a situation where I just don't like. This is not for me. I might like jiu-jitsu, but I don't like it bad enough. Why didn't you just quit?
Yeah, that was when I took that 6-month break at the beach. When I initially told my instructor, hey, I'm going to take a break. I'm not ready, or I don't want to get promoted to blue belt right now. It was kind of just an excuse to quit. The plan was quitting. I'm going to take this 6-month break and I'm going to quit. I'm not going to come back. But then I felt like, that I was being just a coward. I'm running away from this stuff that I actually want to be good at jiu-jitsu. I want to be a black belt one day. I want to be a badass, like I said before. But, I wasn't willing to go through the hard route there. And at that moment. And then I realized, well, if I really want to do something or get something, be successful at something, I'm going to have to face this stuff. I have to go through. Then there was a moment for me that I said, well, there's no other way. If I want to do jiu-jitsu, if it's going to be hard, it's going to be hard then. No, I don't care. I'm going to do whatever it takes. Before that break, I wasn't willing to do whatever it takes. And then I realized, well, I guess this is the time.
But you said you didn't really enjoy it until you were a brown belt.
Yeah, I did enjoy competing, right? I enjoyed going to the gym, enjoyed going through the ranks, but competing was just mental, I wasn't confident enough to play my A game at the competitions. I always, I would say up to brown belt, I never really performed at my best. I was always below because I was either too tense or then I couldn't manage well. Sometimes I would be too relaxed, and like sleepy. And then the person would just pass my guard and win, So it was hard for me to find the balance to perform well. I felt comfortable at the brown belt. I pulled guard for the first time at the black belt. And I think for sure, the first time that I really kind of performed better than at the gym was at the black belt level in a few matches where I really did stuff that I've never done before. I really, performed at my best.
Was that was that a conscious decision, or was it because you had accumulated the success?
I think it was the experience that I had accumulated, and at some point I got tired of not performing the way that I should be, and I was telling myself, why I keep doing this? I go there and why I'm so tense, why I cannot do the stuff that I want to do, and I do at the gym, right? And then I just got tired of being that person, and I said, no, I want to change this. I want to do now whatever it takes. And in a few matches, I had to push through because I was losing, and I just decided, no, today I'm not going to lose. Today I'm going to win. I'm going to beat this guy. I'm going to do whatever it takes. And it really, I had the best performance, ever, better than I train at the gym. It just, I don't know, something happened. I did magic on the mat.
One of the interesting points that in your story right now that I'm catching is that it took you years, not months, not days, not weeks, years to get comfortable with the fact that putting pressure on yourself was not a good thing. You let go at the black belt level. And I don't know about you being as an instructor, but I encounter in my, at my academy with my students, the fact that, there were several occasions where students went to compete and they don't perform well. This is their first competition. They don't perform well and they quit jiu-jitsu, period. You never see them again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is true. Yeah.
And by you are talking about, forget about the first competition, forget about the second one, forget about the third, forget about the 20th one. You go on for years before you say, at the black belt level is the first time I'm actually pulling guard. At the black belt level is the first time I'm actually performing to my satisfaction, the way how I want to perform. I mean, that's mind blowing to me, at least.
Yeah. I think to me too. Why? I ask myself, why did it take so long? But I think it's hard to explain because I had friends, and you guys too. I had teammates that they marijuana or weed 15 minutes before the match. Oh, it's everything good. Let's go. Whatever happens. They don't care. I think I was putting too much pressure on myself to perform and win, right? I didn't want to lose, right? Of course, nobody likes to lose, but I didn't understand that just losing is part of the game, and I'm going to go there and do my best. If I win, great. If I don't win, at least, I did my best. I'm going to keep working on it. It took a while for me to accept that it's okay to lose as long as you go there and do your best,
Well,
and that was a mental block, I guess.
yeah, we spoke with Gustavo Dantas recently, and
Yep.
I know Gustavo, and he's a big fan of actually speaking out publicly on that topic. How much putting pressure on yourself, and then even your family, your friends putting pressure on you, or you taking on that pressure. Actually, he talks about that, how that messes not only with your performance but with your mental state. And then obviously delivering some of the obstacles, some of the goals and objectives that every student achieves for themselves or sets for themselves. So that's a big factor, is not only the ability to train, not only the ability to learn and apply things on the mat, but now you have this whole mental game that you have to essentially, quote unquote, show up to the competition and perform to the desired state, essentially, right? And whoever shows up, they often say, right, he didn't show up. Oh, he showed up today, and it's not.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. That's true. That's true. Yeah, Gustavo Dantas is great. His psychology and all the stuff that he does is awesome. And for me, it was really, it was totally mental, right? Because I would be one person in the gym, in the training room, and a completely different person on the competition mats. I would beat guys that were winning big tournaments in the gym, but I would go to the tournament and no, they would win the whole tournament on the other side of the bracket. I would lose on the first match, So it was just mental for me, trying to, put those skills really where it really mattered. And it took a while, I guess that was my story, the way
Mm-hmm.
the way it happened to me. And it took a while, but if you don't quit, eventually you're gonna get there.
Yeah. So at which point do you make the decision that jiu-jitsu is the route of your life versus surfing or other activities that you had planned? Like when you are 20, what are you thinking about as far as a profession? Because that's right around that age where everybody's kind of trying to figure stuff out, and this is what I'm going to do. You're right.
Yeah.
Where's your head heading at that point?
Yeah, I was kind of really, the only thing that I knew was that I wanted to do something related to physical activity. I could be jiu-jitsu, surfing, whatever. I graduated in physical education
Mm-hmm.
in Brazil before I came to the US. And I knew that I wanted to be a personal training or work with sports, something, And then when I came to the US, the initial idea was to work as a PE teacher, because when I came here, I was still a purple belt. But then I realized that at that time, purple belt was kind of, well, no, it's not that bad, because there weren't many black belts around. So it was hard for me to try to apply to work as a PE teacher because my English was horrible. I had no English at the time. But jiu-jitsu, at least I could show some stuff, I didn't have to talk that much. And then I started teaching private lessons as purple belt, advertising on Craigslist and all that stuff at the time. And then I started figuring out that, well, there are some people that are really interested in jiu-jitsu, and they don't have, opportunity to train as much. They have the hours that they work. So I started working as a private instructor, as a purple belt. At that time, purple belt was respected. And that's how I decided to, then things naturally started turning into jiu-jitsu, because the PE teaching was, it would take a while for me to be, fluent and to work in a school, but jiu-jitsu, people kind of expect if you're from other country, you're not going to talk that well, right? So at least in the beginning. So, things started going to jiu-jitsu. Of course, I was training too at the gym. I started teaching some privates, then I started teaching group classes, and then things just started going to that area,
What year do you arrive to US?
It was end of 2004.
Yeah. So
So
in 2004, there was not only not many black belts, but purple belt is actually pretty successful level
big
at
deal.
that point,
Yeah.
especially if you come from Brazil. I mean, like I started in 2000, and I do remember these conversations. It's like, oh, there's a purple belt teaching there's everybody was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
Yeah. It was kind of, you know, it was a big deal. Brown belts then, like, very rare. So I was in a good place, I guess, to start promoting and teaching. So that's how I started. You know, the jiu-jitsu became my thing, right? I decided to go through jiu-jitsu because, of course, I liked and I saw that there was demand for it, and you know, and I actually liked better than teaching PE, unless it was personal training. Personal training, I like it too, but PE on the school, kind of, okay. Jiu-jitsu, I think it's better. So I started going that route.
why personal training? Why personal classes or one-on-one? I mean, privates for jiu-jitsu. That's what I mean. Why was that a big focus for you? Why not group classes?
Mhm. Yeah, in the beginning was because, you know, I didn't even think that private jiu-jitsu lessons were a thing in the beginning, but people started asking me, you know.
Mhm.
Now, one guy asked me when I was working in, I spent like maybe 6 months in South Lake Tahoe, and I was working on a casino there coming right after Brazil. My first thing that I did was work in a casino. And then this guy that was a dealer on the tables, he said, "Hey, you look, you know, I see the way that you walk and the way that you move. Do you do some martial art? Do you do some Brazilian jiu-jitsu?" Because he knew I was Brazilian. They had a big exchange program over there in that casino. And he said, "Yeah, I do. You know, I'm a purple belt." And then he invited me to start teaching him privates because there was no jiu-jitsu back then over there in South Lake Tahoe. So that's when I realized, well, I'm not even offering nothing, and these guys are already coming to me. You know, I never spoke to this guy, and he realizes because he was a black belt in karate. I guess he knew, you know, a little bit. So
Hold on.
then I started realizing, well,
Hold on. How are we walking? What?
I don't know. I don't know. Because, you know, I guess just moving away my shoulders, my legs. I was
Jiu-jitsu
carrying
makes me walk a
jiu-jitsu
very
makes
different
me
way.
move a little different, you know.
Makes me move slow.
Makes me move slow and maybe with some that's a good question. But you know, it was just then I realized, man, you know, if they're asking me, I'm going to start investing on this, you know, group classes, you know, at a time, you know, I wasn't very comfortable to teach a group of people. But private, you know, I could be a little bit, you know, better, you know, communication with the person, personal. There, he could understand me better. So I guess I started with that because of that reason. But you know, and then I just kept improving on that. You know, more privates, more privates, more privates, and then I started teaching group classes too at the gym when the instructor couldn't teach, and then that's how things started for me. You
Do you
know.
think that private lessons are beneficial? I mean, obviously they are because you've been doing them for a long time and you have a lot of clients, and in some might think that this is like a specialty of yours, right? But there's a lot of people out there who don't think that private lessons have a value, that paying X amount of dollars for an hour with an instructor will really
Yeah,
have the return on the investment, right? What are your
yeah,
thoughts on that?
yeah. I think totally, definitely, private lessons are they have great value because we can work specifically on your stuff, right? I can roll with you and give you pointers and adjust your game. Or that's one of the reasons to take privates. And some people take privates like that once in a while just to keep doing little adjustments on their game because they rarely train with their instructor or they rarely train with someone who is a higher belt. But a lot of people, I have some clients that they have been training with me for years and they don't go to the gym. They just do privates at home. I go to their homes and teach because their schedule is all messy. They never can make to the classes. Some people don't like to train with more people. right? They are scared of getting hurt, or they got hurt before and they don't want to go through that, right? So private lessons, they are great for those people too. They don't have, they have a very weird schedule, so they can call the private instructor anytime or set up a date. And but I think those are some of the good things about the private lessons. I have, like a few students that they never went to the gym to take a group class. They started as a white belt, completely beginner. I have a guy who's a black belt now, training with me for a long time. And, they just, or they can't make to the gym, or they don't want to, they are scared of getting hurt, but also there is the negatives, right? For example, some people, if they only train with me, they are not exposed to other bodies, to other different types of techniques, right? So a heavier guy, a faster guy. So that's a huge part of jiu-jitsu training too, right? It's being exposed. You can deal with whatever person is in your front, bigger, smaller, faster, it doesn't matter, right? And at some point, they might think that jiu-jitsu is only the stuff that I'm showing them, right? But I have my style, right? I have my game. I cannot give them all different facets of the game. I keep trying to expand my game and play differently too, to expose them to different situations, but still it's not the same, right? Than going to the gym and facing really different bodies there.
So then would you encourage students, average students, to take advantage of both? One, like what's your approach to just general studying of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Yeah, I would say if you're happy with the group classes, if you like your progress, then stick with the group classes, and if you feel that you are not able to figure out some stuff, you have asked your partners, you have asked your instructor, and you just can't figure out, then private lessons could be a great way to tune in, go very specific on that area, so you can, make a progress on that. I think it's a great tool, if you can afford, even if it's like, I don't know, one private per quarter. I have some students that are like that too. My regular students from the group classes, sometimes they do some private with me just to tune up some stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a great way. Well, I was going to say it's a great way to, your instructor in a group setting can only answer so many people's questions for a certain duration. But if you can get that focused attention for an hour and you go in there with a plan of, hey, I'm always flat on my back, right? What can we do here? You've got an hour of someone helping you solve that one problem, and then come back in a couple months and solve a different one,
Yeah, because you guys know too, it's like you said, it's hard in a class, let's say you have 20 students, to give attention and answer all questions in that type of setting. It's, of course, we do the best that we can do, but it's hard to really dive in and focus on some really specific stuff that when you teach, sometimes you cover the basics and the general things there, but to dive very deep into some specific stuff, it's privates are a great way. The student might not even think that he needs private, because, but I would encourage, try one time and see how it goes. It can really make a difference.
Yeah, and it also depends on the instructor too, right? Who you take the private with, right? I mean, there has to be the connection between the instructor and the student, so the transfer of information, it's very smooth, and they can really troubleshoot together as the guidance is taking place one-on-one.
Excellent.
I think I tell the story
because also.
Go ahead.
I don't know. Just saying that. Yeah. Sorry. How is it now? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying. Another good thing of the private is that if you can, and I always do that, if you roll with the student, you can really see now during practice what's missing, what is he really talking about? What's
Mhm.
the problem really, right? Sometimes it's something else. Sometimes it's not escaping the triangle. It's not getting into the triangle in the first place, and the person just don't realize, right? Little things like that. That if the student is a white, blue belt, sometimes even purple belt, they don't understand those previous steps.
No, I agree, and I think I told that story in the previous episodes when Gary and we were talking. But when I was a brown belt, I remember telling my entire family, "Don't buy me any presents. Don't buy me anything for my birthday, Christmas, holidays. None of that. Just give me cash because that cash is going to convert into privates." And at some point, I managed literally to have enough funds for private every other week, and it continue
Yep.
on through all the time. And I booked it with my instructor, and I was milking that time. I had undivided attention
Yeah,
with
yeah,
literally
yeah,
ongoing basis. So
yeah.
um
It is huge. It can be huge. Totally, it can be huge to develop faster, to have better understanding, all of that. There are lots of benefits for sure.
and then you bleeding this private lesson system
Yep.
into online videos, which we briefly talked on the beginning of this episode. But um I do remember watching your videos years ago. I mean, years ago,
Yeah.
and you keep
Thank you.
copping up on my YouTube, and
Bothering people.
and right. But who is this guy? Keeps popping out. But listen,
Yeah.
maybe not the first one, but you were one of the first, one of the group on the very beginning, about 10 years ago, so who start putting some logic behind the videos. There was not much random stuff behind it. It was
Mhm.
actually, you had sequences and you had little systems build up, and why did you start transitioning into the videos? Do videos even have value for learning jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great topic too, because I guess nowadays people, I guess they all agree that yes, there is value, in the video thing. I remember too when I started putting stuff out, and other guys, like you said, like people are saying, no, just go to the gym. Why
Mhm.
you're learning from YouTube? The place to learn is at the gym, blah 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 blah. But it's not much different than going to the gym. Of course, you don't have the body right next to you where you can practice, but you can definitely learn stuff. Not only the techniques, but concepts, principles, and all of that.
Mhm.
I remember that back then, like 10 years ago and more, like you said, most of the videos, they really didn't make much sense because it was just an isolated technique with no reference of anything. So if a white belt watches that, probably like, he doesn't know when to use that. He knows the mechanics, but doesn't know when or why, right? He just know how to do it. So that was one of the things that when I started shooting videos, I took a look at the market at that time and saw, well, like it's just like a compilation of techniques. People are just throwing stuff on the internet, but doesn't really like, I don't know if this is going to really help people. So then I decided to, shoot my videos, start giving a frame, a reference that, well, I'm doing this because of this, and explaining really like I would explain in the gym. So for me nowadays is like, and not only my videos, but there's a bunch of videos out there that, yeah, you can totally learn and improve my game. For me, for example, I don't take classes from other black belts like often. I don't know the last time that I took a class. So all my learning basically comes from video, and experimenting at the gym, of course. But, if it works for me, for sure, works for other people. And depending on the video, if you are a white belt or blue belt, it's best if you get a really someone who explains the basics and concepts and just doesn't jump into the technique. Otherwise, it's kind of too loose. But at the same time, as we were talking before, some gyms, some teachers, they still teach like that, right? In Brazil, especially, I having now a huge, I'm interacting with Brazilian guys nowadays. I just launched a YouTube channel over there in Portuguese. And I see that it's very, very different still. It's kind of the same system that I used to learn from when I was there. Like in when I started jiu-jitsu, right? The same type of training, the same type of teaching. And back then it was just bad. The teaching was bad too, you know. There was no explanation of anything. Okay, you just put your hand here, now move your hip, but no explaining why, no explaining, when is the right time to do it. Things have evolved. And
I think you touched on something very important. That conversation for me as an instructor comes up fairly often. I'm curious what you think about it, but knowing jiu-jitsu and being good at jiu-jitsu does not translate into being a good instructor.
Totally.
Having ability to teach, it is very different skill. Now, you obviously need to know the material that you're teaching.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate, that we see a lot of very skilled athletes, and forget about jiu-jitsu, even just basketball or whatever discipline it is, and their ability to relay the same information to their students is not always so smooth. So I always say, be very selective who your instructor is. Are they able to translate that information? Are they able to really teach you to the best ability they have? And then can they connect with you? Because that's another factor behind all of this, right?
Yeah, totally. I agree 100%. Like even today, like if you go to YouTube or you buy some instructionals, you can see like multiple time world champions, of course they're going to kick my ass, but in terms of teaching, you can see that it's not that great, or maybe we can give them a break. Of course, let's say they never shot an instructional before. They're feeling like they don't know how to teach in front of a camera, all of that. Okay, we can, understand that too, but you can see just for the teaching style, it's not really that great. Of course, their focus is not being a teacher. Their focus is being a champion and competitor. That takes a toll too on the teaching style. But, it's hard. It's not everybody, that is a good competitor and a good instructor. It usually kind of there, a few people. It's not it's not the common. That's for sure.
Yeah, it definitely it separates those kind of in two separate groups. And just like you mentioned, there's only a handful that bleed between those two groups, and they have accomplished great amount of success on the competition, but then also they're able to teach in a very successful way, and perhaps they have successful academies. There's not many of those, right? Yeah, so
definitely not.
Why do you think the video is so successful for you? Why do you think that MMA LEECH it's been, I mean, obviously it's been around for a decade, and there's a lot of great amount of footage that you have shot and contributed to your students, right? But why do you think it's so successful? What makes it different than all the other things that we see out there? Because let's be honest, there's like anytime I open YouTube, is like I'm start looking for one thing, and then 3 minutes later, I'm in I call it jiu-jitsu vortex or YouTube vortex. I'm digging somewhere deep on topic that's not related.
Right? That's totally true.
So why do you think MMA LEECH is so successful?
I think it's because of I'm gonna say too that MMA LEECH is not for everybody. People like different types of instructions. I've had some feedback too that people don't like my style. Some people think that I should just go straight to the thing and just show the technique, right? Don't explain anything, right? Just show the move, how to pass the De La Riva. Don't explain why you are there. Don't explain. Just explain how to break the hook and escape. I understand, because some people, they don't have patience or they have little time, right? But I also have some really good people that, really like my stuff, even black belts and I have some coral belts too that like my stuff, because, I try to explain in a way that to me, at least, it makes sense, right? I like to explain the beginning, the middle, and the end. Some people just jump to the middle or to the end, right? I try to explain the whole thing, but at the same time, being concise. I don't want to be speaking about something for half hour. That's just how to remove the hook from the leg. We can, go a little faster on that, but, trying to give as much as information, being concise, but having a beginning, a middle, and an end. I think it's my style of teaching. And some people like it, some people don't. Some people like, fast stuff. A 15-second Instagram video, that's enough for them. Some people like a half hour explaining how to, comb your hair. I don't know. So, it varies. So that was a big thing in the beginning too. Like I was, like, what should I do? Should I try to be like this guy because it seems like he's successful, or should I be like myself, or should I be like this other guy? And I experimented in the beginning a little bit, right? But then eventually I figured out, well, I have to be myself. Otherwise, I'm forcing here. It's too much work to not be myself, So I'm going to just be myself. I'm going to teach the way I like, the way I teach. If you like, great. If you don't, then go watch the other guy that you like it.
And I think what's important is that if you fake it, people will sense that. I mean,
Yeah.
you can sense
Yeah.
it a mile away, and then it's even
Yeah.
worse than it was in the beginning. So
Yeah, totally. I'm not like in the beginning. I had like one of the best instructors at the time, and still today, of course, is Henner and Hiro. Right, Gracie. They are amazing, but they have their style. Especially Henner. He's all energetic. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And it's just not my style. I tried to a little in the first maybe 2 videos, but then kind of, no, it's not gonna work. I have to be myself. Otherwise, I don't want to be a copy. I don't want to be forcing stuff. I just, well, if you like me, great. If you don't, no, you have this other guy. Go there.
that's a great attitude to have. I gotta tell you, because there's a lot of people who compete head on, and there's a lot of that competition in between individuals and businesses and so on. But what I'm hearing from you is like, I love jiu-jitsu. It's right here. It's available. If you like it, take it. If you don't, life is good. Just go and do what you want.
Yeah, exactly. Not too much worried about that. I started first the videos and MMA LEECH, everything to help people, because I saw that the content that was on YouTube wasn't really, to me, it didn't make sense. And so I started, like I said, trying to make videos that made sense with beginning, middle, and end. And then, some people started liking it. So, great. I'm helping people. That's what I want, because I don't see this type of instruction out there on online. So that's how I started. And then, all right, then I started making money, started realizing that, well, private lessons are great too, but how many privates can I teach a day? So I started, well, I'm hitting a ceiling here. If I want to make more money, maybe I should jump online. And then that just started growing like naturally, as a step-by-step process there. And I'm happy how it is.
Well, I mean,
today
you
I'm
should
not
be.
trying to, I'm not trying to, I'm just want to be myself, teach my stuff. And if you like, great. I'm not trying to be anybody else, copy anybody else.
I mean, you should be. MMA LEECH is very successful at this point of time. And it continues growing. Do you think that there will be a point of time where jiu-jitsu will be taught remotely 100% and you will not go to the academy? I heard that.
I think it already is. I think a couple people are already doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. I think this whole thing with COVID is a big experiment, to teach online stuff, hopefully. I mean, a lot of people, I online during this COVID here, not only jiu-jitsu classes, but like BJJ workout stuff, like solo drills and all that stuff where you don't need a partner. But who knows? I was talking to one of my students who is a black belt too. Like, he's a little more like visionary. And he's thinking about like, oh, maybe in the future, we can have a suit where the online captures all the points on your suit, so we can move exactly like we are playing like a video game or whatever. So yeah, I don't know, maybe could be, right? But still, the real practice,
Yeah.
you need a body, but you can get a lot done, online.
Do you think that's benefiting or is actually hurting jiu-jitsu?
I think it depends on the person. I talking about the student. I think for jiu-jitsu, I think it's beneficial overall. I think it's beneficial, because there is so much information out there that, by the way, I had a guy that joined the gym. He never trained in the gym before. He just watched the videos. And he came to the gym knowing how to strike and knowing how to do some jiu-jitsu. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. He had the idea. So it can definitely help people, but it can also go to the wrong hands, right? There's so much information outside that someone can take advantage of that and just be a bully or use to, rob some people or stuff like that, right? In terms of the students, I think for some students makes sense, for some students don't. Especially now, like I said, I'm with this new channel in Brazil, a lot of people are against online instruction, but also here was like that. In the beginning was like this too, but eventually people see that there is value. It actually makes sense, right? If the technique, if the instruction is done properly, you can just rewind the video as much times as you want and you will learn, if all the things are there, all the details are there. So
yeah, Gary and I, we were talking about this recently, but it's like you have these different ways of learning, right? And like you can be in a group class, which gives you, a group experience, right?
Yep.
With the instructions. You can do seminars.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little bit different than groups structure, right? Or
Yep.
is a different type of group environment, right? Then
Yep.
you have the video, whichever format it is, video, right? It's
Yep.
you receiving the information, but there's no feedback, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
you have private lessons, semi-private lessons, these very small groups who
Yeah.
are very focused. And then on top of all this, you have things like drilling sessions, which are very different than all the other ones, right? You have sparring
Totally.
sessions, which is completely different than everything else we've mentioned so far.
Yeah.
And in my mind, more you are able to dip into more of these sessions, so more channels you can touch, faster you will expedite your learning. Now, granted, we all cannot do all of it. Time, financial reasons, commitments, and so on, right? But the trick is, more you are able to dip into them, more you will succeed. So the question is, how fast do you want to succeed? How much you want to invest into your own education? I always encourage my students, at least, to think about jiu-jitsu as a form of education. You show up to this place and you're trying to learn a skill, and more you invest into it, more you're going to take away.
Yeah, I totally agree. And just like you said, there's many ways to learn. And with the videos, for example, you can dive into a very specific topic. For example, how to pass the half guard, like a whole instructional, like 6 hours of how to pass the half guard. That you know how often you're gonna learn that in the gym. Like you're gonna have to spend years to go through all those techniques, because next week is already how to pass the open guard, and then the other week is how to play bottom guard. So to get all that information, that's very, very helpful. You can condense stuff. You can definitely learn fast and have a lot of information. Then it's just a matter of transferring that information into skills, right?
Yeah,
I agree 100%.
Time too, of course, but you can see, the big picture, how jiu-jitsu works much faster nowadays. That's why I think the learning nowadays is faster. used to take longer to get a black belt or to be good at jiu-jitsu. Nowadays it's faster because there's so much information, all principles, all concepts that you can learn and apply to, a bunch of different techniques. The access nowadays, it makes a huge difference.
I was talking to somebody about this, and when I was starting, I'm curious if you relate to this, but when I was starting jiu-jitsu, we were seeking the information, being desperate to learn more, and we didn't have access. It was like books. That was VHS was the best thing in the world, right? And like
it was huge,
right? And you were hoping that it didn't break, because then you were done. But today it seems like you need to stop the information from coming at you, because it's overload, it's overstimulation. You don't know what to pick.
That's true. Like, there is so much stuff nowadays that's kind of, whatever you want, you'll find nowadays. You can go very specific or broad, it doesn't matter. There is a lot of information, and that can be a problem too, right? Mm-hmm. If you're a white belt or blue belt, how are you going to filter that? You don't know what's good, what's not, or what's could be good for you. Is this instructor worth it, or is this the way that he's teaching? It makes sense for my style. It's hard in the beginning, and with so much information there, even like you said, YouTube, you watch one video, then there's a suggestion for another video, then a suggestion for another video. And then you kind of, oh my God, I don't know if I really need this. Now I'm more confused than I was before.
Absolutely.
I think that's the way I was up until fairly recently. And now that I have more of a narrow focus, I've gotten a lot better in a short period of time. I've gotten better in the last year than I have in the years, few years prior. And I think it's because I narrowed that focus down, where it was like, this way of passing isn't working, so I'm going to try something else, and then that one wasn't working, so I'm either going to go back or I'm going to try a third thing, instead of saying, oh, why isn't it working? Mm-hmm. And sticking with it for a longer period of time, rather than buying another instructional or going on another website, but really hammering it out and figuring it out and learning the concepts behind it, rather than, like we said, you could just go down those rabbit holes and you're never going to get any better.
Yeah, that's totally true. Especially if that much information, right? It's kind of, because the reality too is like everything else. People want something that's magically is going to fix their thing. Right? I bought this instructional about half guard, but kind of, so I'm going to buy another one. Maybe that one is easier. Or maybe that one makes more sense. But, if you don't spend time trying this stuff, unless the instruction is horrible, right? That is a different thing. But if the guy is a good instructor, just take a little time to try that, drill with your wife, whatever, go to the gym, do some stuff, and give some time, give a try, really, because to be honest, for us content creators, it's, kind of, I don't care if you buy, go there and buy the next video of mine, then go buy another one. I just keep releasing and making more money. But for the student, take a time there, take a break, watch the video, watch the whole course, try some of this stuff. And like you said, focus a little more, insist a little more there, before you jump to another video. I like if you buy all my videos, yes, but, give it a try a little bit first, because it's just like, everything else. Oh, I want a pill that's going to reduce 20 pounds, like, man, kind of, you got to work a little bit too,
Well, I often say, understand why. And obviously Gary hangs out with me a lot because he was just talking about it. Right? I understand why, why does it work and why does not work? Like, I often hear like, this is not my body type, or he's too fast, his shoulders are too big, his head is too small, my arms are too short, blah, 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 all that. And with all the respect to everybody, but like, those are excuses in my mind versus understanding why. What are the mechanics? Why this works that way, why it doesn't work. And then once you understand that, you can say, this is not for me. Now we have reasoning behind it, right? The trick is that more often than not,
exactly,
understanding why actually starts working magically.
Totally. Yeah. And we go back to that stuff, like, also from the student perspective, it can, I told it maybe because we are black belts, but the white belt might find like, I don't know why. I cannot figure out the why that's not working, So then he jumps to another sequence. But anyways, if the instruction is well done, it makes easier to figure out why or why not, right? If you just watch, a few techniques here and there, they're not even connected, kind of, you don't understand what you're doing. But it goes back to the quality of the instruction, quality of the video, whatever it is, right? But for the beginners, I know, because I have students like that too. And I do my best to teach them at the gym, but still, of course, they still have questions and they still don't understand stuff. I have to say, like, they will understand sometimes, like, over a long period of time, months or a year, but I'm not changing anything. I still saying the same stuff. They just didn't get it. It takes a while to process sometimes. And I know, because I was like that too,
Funny you say this, because true story, this happened literally 2 weeks ago. I had one of my students, a blue belt, he's been training for several years now, few years now. And he came up to me after a class and he goes like, you've been saying this to me for 3 years, and it just hit me now. So
exactly.
But that's part of being a human, I think. It's when we receive large amount of information, whether on the mat, off the mat, it doesn't matter what subject we talk about, but we receive a large amount of information. Our brains naturally filter things out, and we discard them, put them in the back shelf and kind of forget about them until it's meaningful, until it really has a value, and then it sinks in. And the trick is to really maneuver through all of this. That's why, hey, jiu-jitsu is, Gary, what do I always say?
What you either say it's not cookie cutter, or you always say jiu-jitsu is easy. It's the people that make it hard, right?
There you go.
See, I learned things.
Yeah, it is I totally agree with that. For us too, me too. If I take the business side now, learning the online stuff, there is some stuff that I've seen before, like a bunch of times, but I haven't applied yet because, and every time that I find myself in trouble, I say, well, the solution is still the same. It haven't changed yet. I just haven't done what I should be doing, and, jiu-jitsu can be applied to everything, and it's the same stuff at the gym. Some guys, they keep asking the same questions, but in different ways, but the answer is still the same.
Still the same.
But
I love it. I mean, listen, it's such a mind-blowing topic, in my opinion. We could talk about this literally all day long. I always encourage everybody, really, like, understand the logistics behind whatever you're dealing with, and then life just becomes much easier, or the answer becomes much easier, much less complicated. Gustavo, before we wrap this up, we have a small surprise for you. We didn't tell you about this. We have 5 questions for you. We ask these questions every single guest.
Oh my God, I'm shaking now.
No. Listen. First thing that comes to your mind. Some of them are funny, some of them are serious, but it generates interesting end to the episodes. And Gary's going to take a lead on this. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right. So here we go. What was it like the first time you stepped on the mat?
It was intimidating.
Yeah, I bet.
Intimidating. I wasn't sure. Do you want me to elaborate or no? Or just
a little bit. Sure. Just a few seconds.
No, just a little bit intimidating because I didn't know almost nobody there. I didn't know if I was gonna get knocked out. If it was, I'm gonna train MMA, or is jiu-jitsu is all mixed together? Is vale tudo or gi, no gi? I don't know. I had no idea, So it was a big leap, a big decision there.
Yeah, it's hard to walk through the door. That's the hardest part, I always say. What has been your most rewarding achievement?
Doesn't have to be jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I think it's probably my family staying together through hard times, my wife and my daughter. I think that's probably the biggest achievement is staying together through all the bad stuff.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Well, we know this answer already because we talked about it a lot in the beginning of the episode. But have you ever wanted to quit?
Yeah, I wanted, but I didn't.
How about once you got, more successful, up the ranks, brown belt, black belt? Because I know like MMA LEECH wasn't super successful right off the bat. It wasn't like you threw some videos up and you were, successful with it. Later, did it ever occur to you, or did you ever think about it?
Say again.
So later in your process, we know as a white belt you wanted to, but later in your process, brown, black, when MMA LEECH wasn't taken off, did you think about quitting at that point too?
I thought about it.
Yeah,
I thought about it. That was one of the problems from the previous question that we went through a lot, because I was spending so much time with the online stuff, MMA LEECH, and it wasn't going anywhere, or with very little progress. At the same time, my wife was pregnant. So, it was a big mess, a big mess. Less money, working more, not having or getting the results. So yes, I really thought about, let's quit this. Let me actually, help my wife here with the whole baby stuff and pregnancy. Of course, I helped, but not as much as I could because I was focused on this stuff. So yes, I totally thought about quitting, but then, I insisted a little more, and then it broke through.
Beautiful. Can you describe your feelings when you received your black belt?
It was amazing. Yeah. It was amazing. I was kind of expecting a little bit, because I got it after I won the tournament. I won the no-gi worlds, and I was talking to my instructor already, kind of, if I win, maybe I think it's a good time. But it's always special, when you really get it, and you just feel like, I was feeling already like, yeah, I'm winning all these tournaments. I'm doing well at the gym. I feel like, I guess I'm ready. I don't know, but seems like it. But then when I got the black belt, and next day when I went to the gym, I was like, I don't know now. I don't know if I'm really ready now. I'm, a freaking black belt. I should have the answers for everything, but I don't.
That's what they think, that we have answers for everything, right?
Yeah. No, it's not that way.
All right. And then the fifth and final question is, do you wash your belt?
I do wash. I do wash my belt. I didn't wash up to purple. I started washing as a brown belt.
Wait a minute. So you started washing your belt and then everything changed.
Everything changed,
right?
Oh, Gary's twisting the story now.
Maybe that was the thing. I broke free from everything.
There you go. If you want to be awesome like Gustavo, you just got to wash your belt. Is that
there you go?
But I'm gonna tell you a secret too. I don't wash every week. Okay, it's maybe like every 2 months or 3 months.
Okay, so not all the time.
Not all the time.
All right. So then I don't know, what should we put him? I guess we got to put him down as a yes, right?
Yeah, we should. He answered yes. We got to put him as a yes.
Okay.
We keep tally of this, and it's always interesting. Wrap up to the show is always funny. Gustavo, thank you for being here. Before we finish this officially, where can people find you? Where can students find you, especially your online stuff, YouTube, website? Where are you accessible? We'll list everything in the show notes, but why don't you talk about it for the next minute or so?
Yeah, so you guys can find me online. If you guys are interested in the courses that I have, online courses, go to mmaleech.com and you're going to find it there. I have also a good presence on YouTube. All through it. You can just type MMA LEECH, Instagram too, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, MMA LEECH, and my website, MMALeech.com. All my instructionals are there. If you like my style, go there and check it out. It's gonna be a pleasure for me.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's very practical. It's there's a lot of great tips, a lot of things that you're going to learn to break bad habits as well. So it's really good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, and like I said in the beginning, I've been watching Gustavo stuff for a while now, and I enjoy it. I recommend it, so you guys should check it out. Definitely, Gustavo. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. I know you're busy, to sharing your story, having a little fun with us, and putting up with Gary. I know he's not easy person to put up with.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
But thanks for being here. If you're ever in Chicago, when the snow melts, let me know. We'll bring you to my academy, and we can make a visit outside of that. Thanks for being here once again, and thanks for being a part of the episode.
Yeah, thank you guys. That was amazing conversation. Really, was honored to be here, and thanks again. You guys are awesome.
All right, take care, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to RŌL Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.